Hey there, comic book fans. Good evening. This is a contest entry into Jesse Simpson's 317/333 sub contest giveaway. It's one of those that you answer 5 questions, and usually I'm bad at answering question videos because I can never remember them. By the time the person has said the 5th question, I've completely forgotten what the first 3 are, but he's written them all down here, so I figured I'd do it. And the first question is, what new or relatively new comic would you recommend to someone? And most of the comics I get are relatively new. If you see my pull list videos every week, I get a lot of image stuff, a lot of new stuff that's new in the last few years. Only a handful of my comics have a lot of issues to them. But the one I thought I'd recommend is Walt Simonson's Ragnarok. This is issue 7 here. Just came out a couple of weeks ago, and this is from IDW. I think it's a creator-owned book where Walt tells us his story of Thor. There's Thor right there. He's looking all old. Ragnarok has happened, the twilight of the gods. All the Norse gods are dead. Somehow Thor wakes up 1,000 years later. Everything's different. He's trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And it's just sort of some nice classic Walt Simonson superhero artwork. It's got very nice sort of linear style with all sorts of patterns and things in it. Look at that. Look at it. I find that hammer interesting, the way he draws all the shapes and stuff in the. And it's got some nice coloring, Laura Martin, some nice John Workman lettering. I just think it's a well done comic from top to the bottom. Don't hear much about it out there in the comic world, but it's a good one. You should check out Ragnarok. First 6 issues are out in a trade. This is the new next start of the 2nd story arc. Let's see, what is question 2? Reading off my laptop. What, if any, physical activities do you do on a regular basis? I mean, anything like working out, playing sports, hiking, water rafting, whatever. I'm a fairly physical guy. I always liked playing sports. Played some touch football up until my late 30s, but I'm way past them now. Like to hit the weights every now and then, but not so much anymore. Got some stretching exercises I do, but I get bored with that. But what I do all the time without fail is bicycling. That's what I like the best. I bicycle, probably takes about 40 minutes. It's about a 7-8 mile ride, but there's a lot of hills in it. It's not really the distance you go, it's your elevation. And I cycle all through the winter now. I go summer, spring, winter, fall. The weather, you know, as long as it's not raining or snowing out or have ice on. Usually if there's a snowfall, I wait a couple of days for them to clear the roads. But as long as it's above 20 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll be out on the bicycle because I figured out how to wear enough layers and enough warm clothes where I can get out there. And like I said, once it gets below 20 degrees, your legs just don't work like they should. But above 20 degrees, I can handle it. So I get out there on the bike and I go a-cycling. That's my favorite form of exercise. Let's see, question 3. Don't have to bother with this one anymore now that the movie is out. I sort of regret putting this one out since my contest goes until January 30th. Plus, now that I've seen it, I'm glad Luke isn't evil. Do you think Luke is evil in Star Wars The Force Awakens? Do you hope he is evil? Well, I have a confession to make. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I haven't seen the new movie. I probably won't see the new movie. I didn't see the last 3, the prequels. I saw the original 3. I didn't even see, the only of the original 3 Star Wars I saw in the theater was Return of the Jedi. I was it summer of '83? I was in high school. I was probably 16, 17, and didn't do it. I was just never even I was 11 when the first Star Wars came out, and I didn't have the least bit interest in it. It just I mean, I did read the comic book adaptation of the movie when it came out, and I liked that. I still like that better than the movie, but that's just because I like comics better than movies. So I never, I was one, and I can remember buying here. This is an interesting Star Wars aside. I keep seeing that Star Wars issue 39 or whatever it is the first appearance of Boba Fett, and it wasn't the first appearance of Boba Fett. That was in Marvel Super Special, because for those of you who don't know, the Empire Strikes Back magazine size Marvel Super Special came out before The Empire Strikes Back. There was a mistake made, and the comic book adaptation came out before the movie, and it made all the papers because it spoiled the movie. And then they reprinted that Marvel Super Special in the regular Star Wars comics, which I found funny because, well, because for years no one wanted those Star Wars comics because they were reprints. No one cared about, first appearance of Boba Fett in Star Wars, whatever issue that was, because they were reprints. But now, time has erased the fact that the Marvel Super Special came out first, and nobody really knows or even cares that they're reprints. They want the comic, especially since Boba Fett's on the cover. But anyway, that's a little Star Wars aside for you. Let's see what the next question was. And I'm all right with Luke Skywalker still being good. He's okay. My favorite Luke Skywalker is still badass Luke Skywalker from the beginning of Return of the Jedi, standing on the edge of that precipice or the pit with all the teeth, going, "I'll give you one more chance." And they didn't take that chance, so Luke kicked all their asses. But anyway, number 4. Do you read regular books / novels, not just comics? If so, what are you currently reading? Just read or look forward to reading? I read mostly nonfiction. I don't read a lot of novels, though I did just read one. I just read Stephen King's 1963, which is about a guy going back in time to try and stop the Kennedy assassination. Good book, I like that. But mostly I read history. I like nonfiction, I like history. And the last book I read of that type was a book about the beginning of civilization. So I was learning all about the lapis lazuli trade around the Eastern Mediterranean and the Mid-East in 4000 BC. Who knew there was a lapis lazuli trade? That's how they track civilizations, by little blue stones they found here and there. But anyway, I'm really a fan of nonfiction. I have a fascination with the Stone Age and a little bit into prehistory. I read 2 magazines regularly. I read Archaeology magazine, of course history. I read a magazine called The Sun, which is a literary magazine that has lots of short stories in it. Often depressing short stories, but still they're good. So mostly I probably read, I don't read a ton, maybe 1 or 2 novels a year and maybe a dozen nonfiction books a year. I mostly read comics. Read a lot on the internet these days too, but and I also read on my I don't actually read many, though I don't like digital comics. I like digital books. I like to read on my iPad. So let's see, what's the last question? What, if any, video games are you currently playing or looking forward to playing? They can be new or old, it doesn't matter. I'm not as much of a video game player as I once was. In my youth, it was something my friends and I all did. It was a social thing, but then sometime in the mid to late 90s, that all stopped. And, I used to have all the systems, Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis, Nintendo, any Super NES. I had all of those. The last one I had was the Xbox 360. Like the Halo games, they were a lot of fun. But mostly these days, I play video games on my iPad. I like a game I can play for 10 minutes, stop, and get back to whatever I was doing. A game where I can take a break for 10 minutes on. So let's see, the games I've played a lot of Subway Surfer in the last couple of years. I haven't played a lot in the last couple of months, but it was almost like meditating, jumping from train to train. I played so much Subway Surfer that I got like 10 million coins, and you can't buy anything with the coins in the game. I bought everything I could possibly buy. The coins are useless in the game to me. But I like Subway Surfer a lot. The other one I've been playing lately is one that's a cross between Magic the Gathering and Puzzle Quest. I used to play Magic the Gathering way back when I had people around who played Magic the Gathering, not so much anymore. But this is one where, the colored balls fall and you match them and you cast little spells. It's been a fun one I played for the last month or so. I also like another one, Drop 7, which is another sort of puzzle game. Numbers drop, you match them up, you score points. It always ends the same. Bunch of ones in a row you can't get rid of. But it's a fun game to play for 5 minutes and then toss aside. And let's see, the last game I play a bit of is Minecraft on the iPad. And I started playing that because my nephew plays it. And I wanted to kind of get into it and see what it was all about and see why he liked it so much. Because in case you don't know, kids who play Minecraft like to show you what they've built in Minecraft. And if you don't know anything about Minecraft, it's really, really boring to look at their stuff. So I started playing it on my own, and I really liked it. I like to build monumental architecture in it. I like to build giant pyramids and towers and weird art-shaped things and giant sculptures and dig underground and hollow out a cavern and make it into a cathedral with lights all around it and torches and use different materials here or there. And I played in survival mode, which means that resources are more limited and you have to make the best out of what you can, so that's kind of fun. But I don't have it turned on so where there's monsters attacking me all the time, because if I want to fight monsters, I'll play Halo. But occasionally you turn the monsters on because they give you stuff. And if you need new stuff to work with, you turn the monsters on for a little while, grab the stuff up, and then turn the monsters off. But Minecraft's an interesting game. It's building, like I said, I like to build my own versions of the pyramids and Stonehenge in Minecraft. So that's another game I've spent a bit of time with. All right, so I think that's the 5 questions we have for Jesse Simpson's 333 sub-contest video. He's up to 333 now. Jesse Simpson's a good YouTuber. He's got some interesting videos and stuff up there. He's the only one I've seen in his background that has had a Terry Moore's Echo, which is the story, the comic he did before Rachel Rising, which is the one. I see Rachel Rising and I see Strangers in Paradise on YouTube a lot, but I don't see a ton of Echo. He had the collected edition in his background, and that was the only time I think I've seen Echo on YouTube. But anyway, good YouTuber, good contest. You guys have a good time out there.